Okay, I put some stocks to my watch list and now I want to buy them, but before I buy, I want to go through express analysis. Then, if I like stocks, I will start my equity valuation and then we'll dive deeper to see the financials. And if I like the company, I buy the company. But for now, I will show you the first step is express analysis of my stocks that are in my watch list. If you want me to analyze some specific stock, just write the comments in the write the stock ticker in the comment section and we will see your selected stock. But for now, I want to analyze stocks in my watch list. I'm not trading often. I am buying for midterm or for a longer term. It's been a while. I was trading stocks maybe 4 5 months, but for now I want to buy some shares. For that, I am undertaking express analysis. So first, I am starting with rent shares. Let's see the rent share. The stock gained more than 80% in the last week. It's very, it gained greatly in the past trading sessions. And as we can see, there is some kind of a resistance here. The stock was trading slightly flat, so let's identify some support over here, but I don't think that's gonna be strong support for the share. And now the next resistance for the share could be somewhere here, but using technical analysis on this stock won't be of a high relevance because as you can see there is a huge trading irregularities. That means that it's difficult to spot the big player right here. If we draw this line support and resistance, there may be the chance that there is no large seller or buyer, and maybe when the buyer appears the stock would be going upwards or downwards if the seller appears. That's why putting some, well, over here, yes, you can see some trading regularities, I would say, but the stock has some trading irregularities very often. That's why it is not relevant to use the support resistance, especially right now when we saw this surge in volumes, because it's difficult to spot the big player, as I'm saying. Now let's look at the company's fundamentals. First, let's go to key ratios and see basic key ratios. Well, ideally, you should use the custom ratios, go to company's financial statements, read auditor's report, see the company's risks and opportunities, and use the custom ratios and compare to closest peers. But for now, since it's express analysis, I am only looking at basic ratios. Let's look at free cash flow per share. That's the great indication. The free cash flow is correlated positively with the stock fair value because analysts forecast the free cash flow, and higher the free cash flow, the better it is for the company. As you can see, the current is negative value free cash flow per share. That is common for smaller stocks like rent. Maybe they are investing actively, that's why they have negative cash flows. But generally speaking, if you see the stable company, its free cash flow should be growing or staying stable. It should not be jumping aggressively, but in this case free cash flow is not giving us any strong indications. Let's go to return on investments. As you can see, it has negative return on investments as well. There are close competitors that have better return on investment, Lake, and this company also has better free cash flow per share. So maybe we should analyze and switch to this company. I was holding great shares, but things it went up aggressively. Today I will consider selling those shares because the fundamentals are not very strong. They're not convincing me. So let's look at the margins. So as well, also margins are not very stable. This one has better margins, so we can analyze this company as well. Yeah, let's look at the analyst rating. The target price, the current stock price is above the target price. I guess it's above. Let's see. Yes, it's slightly above the consensus target price among different analysts. There are only 3 analysts, and their target price last dated was 12th April. Let's look at the analyst forecast. Yeah, the analyst forecast improved earnings per share in the next reporting period. Also stable gross margin, expanding margin here. But I usually avoid companies with irregularities in margins because that means that companies cannot control their expenses or they're having huge huge expenses or huge relief from expenses, and that's not good for planning, for analyzing companies. Well, not that bad on analyst forecast side. Let's look at the social sentiment. This stock has no social sentiment, and in this case, let's analyze its close competitor and see. I think the ticker was Lake. Yes, Lake, Lake. Let's see the Lake share. Now, you see better trading. It has trading regularities. It has no huge price surges as with Rand, and here we can analyze better. Now, let's draw very important lines. As you can see, it's approaching its resistance somewhere here at 18, but I would say 18 because round numbers serve as better resistance level, and it's currently trading 70.22. So on the shorter term scale, it has, yeah, it has 5% growth potential, so it can be considered great for intraday trading as well. Let's see how the stock was trading. So here the stock was trading flat and it shows some slight higher activity, but still has 5% growth potential on the shorter term. Well, the fundamentals certainly look better. I'm not analyzing price to earnings ratio. Given highly speculative capital in the market, it will not give me a representative picture right now. The cash flow per share, of course, it is better than its closest peers. Let's look at the analyst forecast. Yeah, analyst forecast declining earnings per share in the next reporting period. The previously company reported negative earnings per share, but still the stock price is rising. So as you can see, it has some gaps, not irregular gross margin. It has more irregularities than rate share, so I don't like this. Let's see the social sentiment. The social sentiment is low. It means maybe it has low mentions. You see the tweet sentiment, maybe slightly negative or neutral mentions on this stock. So the social sentiment serves as a great boost for the stock target price on the short term. That's why the probability may be low that the stock will go 5% more, but still the probability is higher than it can go downwards, I think. Let's look at the analyst rating on the stock. It has 24% upside potential based on the consensus target price of 21.50. Let's align it on chart 21.50. It's somewhere here, so it's below its current. It's above, I'm sorry, its current trading levels. If we see at the older levels, so somewhere at the level of 20, it can be another strong resistance level. So possibly the stock can go 16% more fundamentally on the midterm and 5% more on the shorter term. And the support level, let's define the support level on the stock. Yeah, it's trading close to its support, but it's a weak support level. The stronger support level will be somewhere here. I would say on the level 15. So if the stock would be heading lower, it can potentially lose more than 5%. It can lose 12%. It would be within, I would say, 2 weeks. So 1 2 week. I'm looking on how the stock was trading in the past, and I know that stocks are falling faster than they rise, and it took approximately 1 month for stock to gain from 15 to 17, and it can take 2 weeks or even less to drop 12%. So the high risk of dropping to the next strong support level remains on that stock, so I'm not considering it for the shorter term. And for the longer term, I would not consider this stock as well, because I don't like, well, that's a small company, that's why we see the huge irregularities, but I usually avoid stocks with that irregularities because it's difficult to forecast such shares. So I will only sell my rent shares and will not be buying anything right now. We'll be waiting and we'll be monitoring those stocks. I can add the stock to my watch list as well. Let's examine the CROX shares and see if it's a good buy. Yes, CROX shares. Let's examine CROX shares. So first, it has good trading volumes. Yeah, of course, there are some surges, but as we can see, the stock goes up on the surge and the boost, then the probably shorter term speculative traders, they hit the bids and the stock falls for some time or stays flat, and then it goes up higher again. And let's draw the support and resistance levels for the stock. Well, the first support level I see is 126. I would say 125. Always round the number to the closest, somewhere 125, I would say. So it means that the stock has 12% for downside, and it can fall within short period of time, probably 1 week. And I see this candle, it's not yet confident. The volumes are, as you can see, the volumes are falling a little bit. So from here it's not seen well, but the volumes are declining and the price is rising. This can indicate that the trader activity is declining. This would mean that the stock can fall at 125. So maybe we can place our limits here at 125 if stock looks great fundamentally, because I'm considering this stock for a longer term. The next point where the stock can fall, the strong, is 106, but I don't think it will go somewhere there further. Probably if it will hit 126 and go lower, it will stay flat somewhere here at 116. So it can go somewhere, it can lose 20%, but I don't think this scenario is probable right now. Well, historically we saw that it can go over here, it can lose up to 20%, but right now I don't think this is highly probable because the trader confidence as well as buyers and sellers is very low. But now let's look at fundamentals. If it's good, we can place our order at 126. And from the fundamentals side, let's look at the analyst rating first. 158, 9% consensus growth potential, so it's not that spectacular growth. The last rating change was recent by the target price 170, 158, but again, I'm not relying heavily on analyst target prices. Just want to see how many analysts changed the target price for the rise in the recent initiation. And now let's see the analyst forecasts per earnings per share. The next reporting period, we analysts expand better earnings per share, and the company was reposting always higher earnings that analysts expect, and there is a high probability that the next reporting period the company will also show higher earnings per share. Gross margin is more or less stable. It's 57, 55, 57, 54. Yeah, I usually don't like companies when the gross margin is too much volatile, more than 3-4%, but in this case it's more or less stable, because if it's volatile, companies cannot control costs very well. The cash flow per share, it has great variability over here, but as you can see, the company tends to show better cash flow per share than analysts expect. This is good indication. It would mean that the company, this would mean that analysts would have high probability of raising the target price on the next reporting date, and this will boost the stock target the stock market price as well. So let's see the social sentiment on the stock. The socials, it has higher sentiment than the previous stock that we were considering, but the people are not mentioning this stock very often. That's why we don't see the high sentiment score here. Let's look at the key ratios. Again, I'm looking at the same ratios, return on investments. Let's analyze them. Free cash flow per share, we've already seen them. Return on investment on CROX, it has highest return on investment among closest peers. Return on equity, also it has highest return on equity. So the stock looks much more attractive than its closest competitors, as we saw right now. Now let's see other ratios. Well, liquidity ratios, like a quick ratio, we are not considering because we are not buying companies' bonds. Let's stop for that because it's express analysis. I'm not, as I've said, I'm not diving deep into this. If you want to read more detailed guidance, I will put the link in the comment section and you can read that guidance. So the stock looks not that bad, and I may place my buy order for the CROX shares, as I've said, at 125, but fundamentals are not that spectacular. That's why I will not be fundamentals and expectations. That's why I will not be putting high volumes on this stock. Probably I will buy just a little bit on this 126. A little bit is it differs from trader to trader. It all depends on your capital, but probably maybe 1% or even less than 1% of my total free cash I would be putting on this share, because I don't see strong fundamentals. If I would see strong fundamentals, then probably 5 or 10% I can consider investing, but in this case I would invest a smaller portion, and then when I see improvement in fundamentals and when I see increase target prices, when more analysts will increase target prices, then I will place more volume on this stock, the buy volume, buy limit. But for now I will just place the buy limit at 125 and will wait patiently. Now let's see other stocks. DAL, it's Delta Airlines. I'm interested to start with their fundamentals first and see how it's trading close to its competitors. Yeah, here it's more or less in line. It has very attractive price to earnings, even given highly speculative capital on the market right now. Free cash flow per share, yes, it is, I would say, average. Actually good free cash flow, and also 5-year average is also good. I would say it's slightly lower than average, but the current is in line, not in line, but it stays on this average scale as well. Now let's look on return on asset. Also has highest return on assets. Return on equity, amazing return on equity on Delta Airlines shares. Return on investment, great return on investment, as you can see, much better than its closest competitors. We can see the 5-year averages as well. Well, not that bad. At least even in a 5-year scale, it shows better returns than its close competitors. And let's see the gross margin. Gross margin 27, 39. Well, I don't like this high variability, but for the last period it seems more or less stable over here, but I don't like this huge upsides. Even if it's upside, I would prefer considering stocks with more controlled, more stable margins. Let's look at the net profit margin. Yeah, it's slightly it has higher variability. Now let's look at the analyst forecasts. On the forecast side, analysts expect huge earnings per share in the next reporting period. I usually afraid when analysts have these high expectations, because if company will not show that high expectation as analysts project, this may result in the sharp downside of the stock. But as you can see, historically, the stock was always showing better earnings per share than analysts forecasted. This may be connected to seasonal things because if you look at the last reporting periods quarterly, for the second quarter, company showed better RPS than analysts expected, and the next quarter, analysts also expect higher earnings per share, and maybe the company will also surprise because for the last four quarterly periods, company showed better reports, so there is a high probability for that as well. Now the book value per share is rising, the dividend per share, they pay stable dividends. Cash flow per share, it is volatile very much, and as you can see, the company is not showing cash per share actually lower than analysts expect. This may result in the analyst target prices downside, but not by the large number. If the company will show figures better than analysts expect, then still analysts may hold this rating unchanged or slightly raise the target price. But still, the high probability remains that if company's cash flow would be lower. Well, actually, I don't think this will result in some bad projections by analysts, because analysts are seeing this free cash flow per share, and I don't think they will assume that the company will show higher cash flow per share than the previous reporting period, and I think they already included it into their valuation models in the CF. So the stock looks pretty good. It has low mentions on Twitter, so I don't think the stock would be boosted on the shorter term scale. Now let's look graphically at the stock. It is expanding. It is showing great growth dynamics actually, and I think it's trading on the maximum. So then the strong support level for the stock is around 50, I would say. It's around 48. So if the stock will start falling, it can lose. Let's see how much it can lose. It can lose up to 10%. Let's see how long it took the stock to go upwards without stopping. Probably 1 month, and I would say in 2 months it can lose up to 10% if it will be falling aggressively, and I may consider placing my order at around 48, and then it will have high probability of rising again because it has more or less strong fundamentals. So there are two options. You can pick the stock at the current level, or you can patiently wait and place your limit at 48, where the strong support is. But based on the volumes, again, you see the declining volumes of the share, and the probability that it will keep going upwards is very low. Probably the correction will come during today's trading session and the stock will go lower, but fundamentally it looks much better than its close competitors. Now let's see other stocks. Let's see Airbnb shares. Yeah, it experienced sharp decline recently. Let's see in percentage term how much is that. 10%. Wow, it's a huge downside for the stock. Let's see its support levels. Yeah, somewhere here at 145, I would say. Let's round this number up. Yeah, it's trading at the support level, strong support. That's why the stock price stopped a little bit, and the resistance level, I would say it's somewhere here when the stock is trading flat and rising volume when it's approaching that level. So possibly on the shorter term scale, if the stock would be rising, it can gain 10%. But let's see historically, if the stock was going upwards, it took usually 2-3 weeks to go there. So possibly in 2-3 weeks, it can gain 10 more percent. Moreover, fundamentally, it looks strong. Let's see the analyst target prices. 153, 5% gross potential from current level 153, so it's somewhere here the stock target price, but I think it has potential of going even higher to 116 and trading at that level for a while because company has better fundamentals than its close competitors, but its target it always be trading close to its target price, so keep it in mind. Fundamentally it has slight growth potential now, but maybe analysts will start changing the rating by slight percentages. I don't think it will they will be changing by changing the target price drastically. So anyways, let's see, and I may consider placing my limit even lower, so I may wait today. If the stock will break this level, it can possibly go even lower. Let's see the level 139. I don't think it's a strong support level because we don't see huge volumes here. Well, over here it's more or less strong support, I would say 132. Let's round it up to 130, so the next strong support could be 130. So this, but usually the stock will not go there drastically, or yeah, it can go. Historically we saw that the stock can go lower within short time frame. So let's look at, so yeah, it says 16 days, probably 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks it can lose up to 13%. Let's look what was happening in the past. Yeah, plus minus 2 weeks as well, it can lose 10%. So yeah, if it will be falling, it can easily go there, lose 8-9% within the next 2 weeks. So I would better wait and can place my order at 130 if it will be trading lower today. But yeah, I would probably do that because fundamentally from that level where I can buy it at 132, fundamentally it would look even better because it would have 15% growth potential fundamentally, and also it would have 20% growth on the shorter term. So I may consider buying it at 130. Will place my buy limit at 130 on Airbnb share. So now let's look. I'm not considering Apple share because I don't think they would have stronger support. Right now we may consider Visa shares. Let's look at the Visa, or let's actually analyze Google shares as well. If you remember, last time I analyzed shares roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago, then I said it has weaker support, but let's look based on the recent reporting of Google, and maybe analysts changed their assumptions on Google shares because I use Google a lot. I use their services a lot. I was drawing the support level and it's trading close to its maximum, so it's approaching very strong resistance level. As we saw, there is a huge volumes right here. When the stock approaches this volume, the sellers are pushing. There is a quite high probability that they still placed their sell limit, the larger players, at 173 or even 170. Yeah, it's trading close to its resistance level, and I would not be buying on those levels. And if the stock will start falling, it can probably go lower. It can probably lose up to 10% within short time frame, probably within 1 week or slightly more than 1 week. But I would not consider it for shorter term trading right now, maybe starting from 156, but I don't think it's a good idea for to buy this stock shorter term. Let's look at the company's fundamentals. On the company's fundamentals, let's look at analyst forecast, analyst rating first, 191. It's a consensus. Let's see how many analysts were analyzing the stocks. A lot. Recent rating change dated yesterday. BMO Capital, K Bank, also 200, 215. So these are more recent changes, 200 and 215. And the last changes were made in April, not long time ago, probably 2 weeks ago, at 200, 215. But let's consider 191. It's lower than recent analyst target price changes. So let's suppose that the consensus, let's believe that number for now, 191. So it's somewhere here. That's the stock fair value or stock target price. Fundamentally, from the current level, it still has 10% potential. But if I pick it for a longer term on the lower levels at 20, it has 21% gross potential. So maybe 156 or maybe 155 would be a good buy point for those shares. And let's look at the forecasts. Analysts expect lower earnings per share in the next reporting period. But again, the company shows during the last 5 periods, it showed better EPS. There is a high probability that the company can also surprise. Stable gross margin. I like that. Slightly rising capital expenditure. Well, they are investing actively right now, especially giving the boost in the artificial intelligence. So I can understand those capital expenditures, but they would be better for, they would play a good role in the longer term. Yeah, as you can see, it has a stable and rising revenues and also EBITDA per share. So definitely a great stock for, and also cash flow per share. The company showed better figures than analysts expected even during the last reporting period. High probability that the next reporting period it would have even better cash flow per share. This will result in analysts raising their target price even higher than the current level. Let's look at the social sentiment of the stock. It has lower sentiment. That means that the lower tweet mentions because recently it had its financial report during which the company stock went higher. But now I don't think that the short term, as I've said earlier, I was analyzing the stock at the level 160, but then the stock went higher 173 on the financial report. But then back then I said that it has limited gross potential. So possibly it can hit this 173 and then go lower to 155, and I can consider buying the stock at that very point. Let's look at the Visa share. We'll examine the Visa share technically. Well, talking about Visa shares, first let's define the strong levels. I can already see the strong support level. The company is trading close to its support level, to its resistance level, I'm sorry. The next more or less strong level is somewhere here, so it's 273, 282. So if the shares will start falling, it can fall within a couple days. It can lose up to 3%. And the next strong level, yeah, I don't think this is a strong level because it has low volumes over here, and probably there was one large buyer who bought at that level, or a couple of buyers. You see the stock was trading for a few days over here, but now there is a low probability that the stock will stop here if it will be trading. The next support level could be somewhere here at 260. So possibly if the stock would hit that support level, it can lose 5 more percent, and that's where I can pick the stock at 260. I think the stock would look attractive technically at this level. And let's look at fundamentals. Analyst rating 307. So it's slightly above than the current levels. The target price is somewhere here at 307. So if I buy at the 260, I can have 17% gross potential. I can expect the stock can drop over there. But we should see the company's news, how it's trading In comparison to its close competitors, we should see what are analyst expectations to make assumptions whether it can hit 260 or no, or maybe there is a high probability that the stock would be trading close to 270 and will stay flat for a couple of weeks. There is a high probability for that because banking shares and Visa shares are very good option for traders right now, and I don't think that the sellers would be pushing the stock lower, especially given good analyst target prices. Let's see when they change their target prices. Yeah, we see recent target price changes. So this is a fresh data. Let's see the tip ranks first. Yeah, we also see the name of the analyst, and average target price is slightly higher over here, 315, and we see different names of the analyst who initiated the changes. The recent changes was 310. Let's look on the morning stars. Great, it's wild economic mode, but only 3 stars out of 5. Fair value estimate is around 260, and the current stock price is, yeah, the fair value estimate according to Morningstars is around the support level that I indicated, 260, and I may consider buying this stock at the level of 260, but not larger volume. I would be buying step by step, first 216. If it goes lower, I would buy at a lower volumes, but we'll wait. Maybe I would buy even at 268, some small portion. Let's look at the analyst forecast. Yeah, analysts expect expanding earnings per share. Company always shows better EPS than analyst expected. Great and expanding dividend per share, also great if you're using DCF model to calculate the stock fair value. Cash flow per share also rising, and the company has tendency to surprise analysts, but still sometimes it shows less than expected, but I think it's already included into the target prices. As we can see, the company has more or less stable and expanding data, so this definitely can be a great option for investors. Let's look at the price earnings ratio. Well, it's in line with the industry average, I would say. Let's look at the cash flow per share is slightly lower, not slightly, but lower than its close competitors, than the MasterCard, than the Meta platform. Alibaba, I'm not considering because it's Chinese stock. I'm not buying Chinese stocks because of higher political and currency risks. MasterCard, we may also consider MasterCard right now, seeing its close competitor. Let's see other ratios first before we jump to the MasterCard. Again, MasterCard has a good free cash flow per share. That's a great indication. Higher, not much higher, but higher than the Visa shares. We can also consider MasterCard. Return on assets, MasterCard also has higher, but the Visa also have good return on assets on this 5-year average, but the largest is with MasterCard. So definitely MasterCard in this case looks better than their close competitors fundamentally. Let's look at the MasterCard. It looks better than Visa shares. So first, is it the strong support and resistance level? Yes, I think more or less strong because we see rising volumes when the stock is breaking that level. So we can consider that it's a strong level, 160, I would say. We'll round this number up, 160, somewhere here. The stock is approaching this level, so today high probability for correction exists, and the next level, I don't think that's a strong level. Here, more or less strong support level. So let's draw the line from here. I think somewhere here would be correct. 428. Let's say 430. That's a more or less important level for the stock. I don't think that the stock will go there drastically. As you can see historically, when the stock is falling, it takes longer time to go there. It's not going sharp to that level. Well, here is an exception. We need to analyze what was happening here historically, why the stock went sharply lower. But if you look, there are more cases when the stock took more time to go downwards than this. There are only two cases, and usually it takes around 19-20 days to go there. If we see other periods, the last, let's see the last period, it took 42 days to go downwards, even 27 days, I'm sorry. So we can suppose that if stock would be falling, it would be falling within 20 days, and somewhere over here it can go to 430 if things will not change, if the geopolitical economical data reports will not show worse than expected or better than expected data. Then the stock can head there within a month, I should say, to level 430, 420. That's a strong support level. And if it finally breaks, which I doubt, if it breaks this current resistance level, then the next level the stock can go, let me enlarge it a little bit. Yeah, the next level the stock can go is somewhere around 480. So if the stock breaks that current resistance level, then it can go 4% more to 480. Let's look at the target price of the stock. It's around 510. Let's look at the last recent changes, 530. Let's look at the rating of tip ranks, 530 as well. So let's suppose it's somewhere, yeah, it has great growth potential fundamentally, 530, much higher from the current level, 530. It has 15% growth potential fundamentally from those levels, and moreover it looks better than closest peers. So I may wait when the stock breaks that 460 and would trade there, trade higher than 460 for a few days, and then I may pick this stock up. I will not be waiting for 430, but if it will be falling aggressively today, I may postpone my purchase until it falls to 430, but may buy at current level, not current level, slightly higher, maybe 465, somewhere here. Again, if in 2-3 days the stock will not be trading lower than the resistance level. Let's look at the forecast. Also, analysts have great forecast. The company always shows better earnings per share than analysts expected. Now let's see the expenditures are also rising here. We need to analyze the financial statements, read the auditor's report to analyze what's happening with the rising expenditures over here. And let's look at some of the key ratios. The price earnings, it's higher price earnings, but I would not count on this ratio right now given highly speculative capital in the market. The stock is value stock, the stock has strong fundamentals, that's why analysts are buying it, and stock is rising rapidly, that's why we see this high price to earnings ratio on this stock. Let's look at the cash flow per share. Yeah, we already looked and it looks better than its closest competitors. So fundamentally the stock looks great, the stock looks attractive. And on the dividend side, we also see the rise in dividends. That's the great sign for those who use DDM model, dividend discount model, to assign the stock fair valuations. Let's look at the social sentiment. It definitely has higher tweet mentions, positive sentiment, positive mentions, but I don't think it will go higher. It will grow aggressively within this current trading session because the analyst fear is high on the market. Generally speaking, I don't see overall strong fundamentals on the market, and the current level for the market 5,300 is very strong, and there is a high probability that the market would move lower during today's and Friday's trading. That's why I don't think on the shorter term it start going higher, but still if it will stay If it will break this resistance level and stay higher for a few days, then I may consider buying that share or maybe buy it for 130. This was my express review of the stocks. So based on the reviews, I'm not buying anything today. I'm not opening positions still, but I will definitely place my buy limit orders on a few of the stocks that I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching my express analysis.